60 Minutes Rewind.
The largest, most successful gang of diamond thieves in the world is credited with over 370 heists worth $500 million. And it's getting bigger and more daring every year. The gang is composed of networks of teams who work together, in Europe mostly, but they've done jobs in 35 countries as far afield as Tokyo and Dubai. They are ex-Yugoslavs. Many fought in the Serbian Special Forces during the Bosnian Wars. They are called the Pink Panthers, and that's not a joke. They got their name from those famous Peter Sellers movies of the 70s and 80s. But as you can well imagine, there are scores of jewelers and cops in many countries who do not find them funny at all. Their exploits have become the stuff of legend, but what they did in Dubai a few years ago shocked even the police officers who'd been after them for years. Security camera footage captured the scene at the upscale Wafi Mall. They drove right into the mall in two Audis, crashed the cars into the doors of the Graf jewelry store. Then men in commando gear jumped out, ran into the shop, seemed perfectly relaxed as they broke into glass cases and bagged diamonds worth $3.5 million. Then they got back in their cars and just drove away. How did you react when you heard about the Dubai heist? I mean, it was pretty brazen, wasn't it?
I had to see the video of it to believe that they actually drove two cars through the mall and then to do all of that in less than 45 seconds. Yeah, it was hard to believe, but it happened.
That's the world's chief cop who found it hard to believe. Ron Noble is Secretary General of Interpol, the global police organization based in Lyon, France.
I'd say that they're the most notorious organized crime group that I've been involved in investigating in my life.
So they're really good.
The problem is that they've become legendary because they are so good in their planning and their execution of robberies.
Legendary in part because of their name.
I'm sorry, darling.
Remember the scene from that hilarious Peter Sellers comedy where the thief hides the diamond in a jar of cold cream? Well, these professional thieves did exactly the same thing after they hit a high-end jewelry store in London in 2003, making off with $40 million in diamonds. That's how they became known as the Pink Panthers. Incidentally, it was the largest jewel heist in British history. Then, Tokyo. Men wearing wigs entered luxury shops, immobilized clerks with pepper spray, and made off with diamonds, a tiara, and the Comtesse de Vendôme necklace worth $30 million. Copenhagen, 2007. A jewelry store inside a hotel. In front of stunned guests, 3 men raced through the lobby and into the store. They smashed glass cases and made off with more than $1 million worth of stones. In the last 20 years, they've been responsible for $500 million in robberies. In all that time, there's been one fatality. What makes the Panthers so successful, Noble says, is how they do weeks of surveillance and preparation before an attack. These undercover shots show a team taking the measure of a target before a hit.
The MO of the Pink Panthers is very clear. They tend to use a woman to case the jewelry stores first.
An attractive woman.
Attractive woman, woman wearing expensive clothing, woman wearing expensive jewelry.
A well-heeled man enters next, blocks the door open with his foot, and clears the path for the smash-and-grab men. 4 people altogether. Precise timing and well-planned getaways are their trademark.
From the time they enter the door until they break all the glass in the cases, take the jewelry and are out in less than 30 seconds, and then they have a getaway plan. Within a matter of hours, they're in another country. That's their classic MO, if you will.
If the Mafia grew out of Sicily, the Pink Panthers were a product of Montenegro and Serbia, the now independent republics in what was once Yugoslavia. They were allies in the brutal Bosnian wars against the Muslims. When UN sanctions halted the flow of products into the country, groups of soldiers became professional smugglers. Did many of them have paramilitary training?
The Corps were fighters during the war. Paramilitary training, very organized, very disciplined, and ruthless. And those are the ones who started it back in 94, 95, 96.
So they learned their trade in the war.
Yes. They grown up with aggression. They know if you want to have success in your life, you have to use force. And for them, it's common.
Andrea Schultz is a risk prevention consultant in Germany who's been investigating the gang for 10 years. So the distinctive thing about Pink Panthers from robbers in other countries is that since they're so experienced in war, they are not afraid.
They're not afraid, absolutely.
To date, Interpol has identified 800 core Pink Panthers using photos, fingerprints, and DNA. They are notorious for using fake passports, which makes them very hard to catch. Noble says, unlike the mafia, they have no chain of command.
They've got networks, and depending upon the robbery, there's someone who organizes a particular robbery. But there is no kingpin. There's no Al Capone or John Gotti at the top of the organized crime groups like classic or traditional organized crime.
They have specialists in everything from alarms to safe cracking to stealing cars, and those experts are not hard to find. Do they have connections in every country?
In Europe, in quite every country, you have the Balkan community, so they have the possibility to have connection. In Switzerland, we know that, and it's the same in France, in Germany, in Sweden, in Denmark.
Swiss detective Jan Glassy says Geneva is one of their favorite cities because it's so rich. It's where billionaires come to shop and play. So they went into this store?
They went inside this store.
And if they only get 15 watches, they've made like $1 million in 50 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
This team, wearing wigs and sunglasses, robbed a luxury store on the Rue de Rhône, the street in Geneva. They grabbed $4 million worth of diamonds and made their getaway in motorcycles down a street which was too narrow for police cars. So it's almost a sport between you and them, isn't it?
It is. It is always a little bit like that. That means they are always a step before us because they are changing the modus operandi. And yes, it's a little bit a cat and mouse game.
They're professionals.
They are really, really professional.
There's no way for you to get there in time.
No. For the cops, it's very difficult. Normally, we can say between 3 and 5 minutes.
And by that time, they're in France.
At that time, they are on the way to France.
The story will continue after this.
A James Bond blockbuster could be made out of what they did in Saint-Tropez. The roads get clogged in summer, so after posing as tourists and scoring more than $3 million worth of jewelry, the Panthers made their getaway by sea. And when you hear that they got out of Saint-Tropez in speedboats, are you thinking, that's pretty good?
All the cops were thinking that. That's pretty good, but now we have a lot of job to do.
We drove to the seaside town of Olsztyn, Montenegro to meet a semi-retired Pink Panther who's been associated with that job. He calls himself Philip. He agreed to talk to us at a rented apartment in a secret location. We had to turn off our electronic devices before he appeared, and we agreed not to show his face. How many jobs have you done?
9.
9. What was your best robbery?
My best robbery. Okay, in France. In France was my best robbery. It was very, very speedy.
Very speedy.
Yeah, very speedy, like Speedy Gonzales. It was good money, and nobody hurts.
You get a couple of million euros in France, and then how did you get them someplace where you could get money?
I have a connection everywhere. If I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. We go to Belgium. We have France.
When they go to Belgium, they always drop in on Antwerp, where gems worth billions are traded every day.
We know that a lot of diamonds come to Antwerp, stolen diamonds, stolen jewelry. Why do they come to Antwerp? Because the diamond trade is here in Antwerp.
Patrick Pays is chief inspector of the Antwerp Diamond Squad.
If you compare their volume and their value, is the best product in the world, of course. That's why diamonds are so much used in other criminal acts.
Making matters worse for cops, only the most expensive diamonds have laser inscriptions with identifying numbers. And even then, large diamonds can be recut, making it impossible to tell whether or not they've been stolen. So from what you're saying, being a diamond thief isn't a bad career. You make a lot of money, and the odds are with you. The odds are with you that you're not going to get caught.
I wouldn't advise anybody to start that career, but yes, I can imagine from their view that, yeah, it's a living, it's a way of a living, and the possibilities of getting caught are probably not that high.
And recently we learned the Pink Panthers have started branching out. We know them as jewelry thieves. Are they expanding their operations?
They're expanding their operations into art, and very, very fine art.
In 2008, a group of armed and masked panthers hit this museum in Zurich, making off with a Monet, a Van Gogh, a Degas, and a Cézanne. It was the largest art robbery in European history. The last of the paintings was recovered in April 2012 in a dramatic raid captured on videotape. The Serbian SWAT team stormed this house to arrest the men accused of snatching the Impressionist works. The cops took a van in for examination and found something hidden in the ceiling. When they pulled it out, they discovered it was Cézanne's Boy in the Red Vest. Estimated value, $113 million. But nailing a couple of panthers doesn't help the police nearly as much as they would like it to. Now, when one of these guys gets caught, will he squeal? Will he give you evidence about the other people, his partners?
No, there is an omerta between them.
The omerta really works.
The omerta really works, and when we are speaking about the best teams, a lot of them are really friends. That means they grew up together.
Still, since 2007, hundreds of arrests have been made, but those panthers just keep on reproducing. We understand that there are approximately 180 new members in the last couple of years?
Yes, so the next generation is being recruited.
And trained, presumably.
Recruited and trained.
Their daring has inspired legions of copycats. Disguising themselves as women in burqas, these thieves robbed a jewelry store in a mall in Bahrain, and this gang took to their motorcycles to rob a jewelry store in London.
The copycats are really just organized crime groups that have identified an easy way to make money based on the celebrity status, I would say, in large part of the Pink Panthers.
And the police admit that, unfortunately, they themselves didn't help matters when they started calling the gang Pink Panthers.
The problem with this group is that the name Pink Panthers, it engenders inside us, the first memory is the movie. We smile at the name of Pink Panthers.
And here's why.
Does your dog bite? No. I thought you said your dog did not bite.
That is not my dog.
And indeed, the first thing you think of when you hear Pink Panther is comedy.
That's why we try to highlight whenever we can the way in which they perpetrate these robberies. These are not nice guys, and they're not nice guys who are stealing from the rich to give to the poor. These are just cold-blooded and ruthless and notorious thieves.